I love Turkish. Turkish is one of my favorite languages, but sometimes it does some things that test our relationship. Turkish is such a rich, beautiful language. There's so much depth. It's so unique. It sounds beautiful because of features of the language, namely vowel harmony. But sometimes it's just really painful because it does some very difficult things that I still can't get used to after so many years. I'm not a master of Turkish. I'd probably estimate I'm probably at an A2 after so many years, especially recently when I've been recording my progress every single day, posting it to Twitter, which you can check out. People talk about their difficulties with Spanish, French, German. I've seen a lot of people talk about the difficulties of Japanese, Korean, Chinese. Nobody talks about the difficulties you'll encounter with Turkish, so whether or not you asked for it, I'm going to tell you guys today what it's like to learn Turkish. It must be said, and that is okay, just be who you are. Something that gets under my skin about Turkish is the ambiguous endings. Turkish is agglutinative. You glue tons of affixes onto every single word, noun, verb, everything. So you would think precision is very important for the Turkish language, but there are quite a few situations that are ambiguous. For example, in my Turkish textbook, there is an example that says çay bardağını süt koymuşlar. Unless you have context, you don't know whether this means in the tea glass, in your tea glass, or in his or her tea glass. You know, when I learned so many verb endings, so many noun endings, I would hope that I have the most precise language ever. But no, it's not precise. You would think it's a very important distinction, whether it's the, your, or his, but for some reason, because of how things match in the Turkish language, we can't know. If I wanted ambiguity, I would have done no agglutination, but here we are. Oh my God. Something I can't understand is how subjects can be possessive sometimes. What I still cannot wrap my mind around is the fact that subjects are possessive when the verb changes for, I don't know. For example, when you're talking about having something, the subject will possess the object that we have in English. So you'll end up saying something that's literally like, there is my cat, meaning I have a cat. And in a parallel structure, when you're using the duk ending, the subject of that becomes a possessive and it has to match the verb ending. We love consistency, but what? Why? Why couldn't they have done another subject there? Why couldn't they have done topic markers like they do in Korean and Japanese? Like, oh, I love Turkish, but oh my God. Something else I can't wrap my mind around is they. Verbs that match with they don't always get marked with the plural marker. When a verb is conjugated for they, and sometimes when a noun is possessed by them, it doesn't always get the plural marker, which I just can't wrap my mind around. I can't remember the video I watched recently, but I saw in the title that a noun was possessed by plural people, but it didn't get a plural marker, and I couldn't understand. I knew there was a problem, but I mean, Turkish, that's just Turkish. I love a very laissez-faire approach to plural markers, but why? But like, wouldn't it be easier to not use them at all than use them sometimes? I don't know. That's what they decided. The wonderful people of Turkey have decided that's how it is. Something else that's very difficult to keep straight in my mind are all the ways to say relative clauses. So sometimes you have an N ending for when the noun is the subject of the verb, but then you have a duk ending if it's the object of the verb, but then if it's the future, you're always going to use ajak or ejek, but it's going to be conjugated for the subject if it's not the subject, but it's going to... Why? Turkish is not for the faint of heart, I can say that much. Like, if I say konuşacak adam, that's a man that will speak. But konuşacağı adam is a man that he will speak to? You know, it's the sometimes being precise that does it for me. So if it's present, you have completely different endings, but if it's future, it's the same ending. But if it's mush, oh my god. Something I will never get over is the overuse of the progressive marker in Turkish, yor. English is special among European languages because it uses a progressive tense. There aren't a lot of languages that use it quite as much as we do in English. English puts it everywhere, the progressive tense. But I just can't understand why Turkish people use the progressive tense when they mean be able, or when they mean no, or something like love. I understand that's me coming from my English native perspective, where there is a list of stative verbs that it is illegal to make ing. And I'm trying to accept that there's other ways of thinking, but you know, I just can't get behind I am being able to do something. What? How can you say I'm knowing something? That doesn't make sense to me. You know, I say all these things today and I'm probably gonna get a lot of really nice people in the comments trying to explain why this is. I know the rules, I'm just kind of angry that those rules exist. I can say that about a lot of languages. I know that rule, but I resent it. So for the 3 of you learning Turkish out there, let me know what is difficult for you when you're learning Turkish. For those of you that are not learning Turkish, I really do recommend the language. It's really fun, really beautiful, very exciting. It's really rewarding to make a sentence, but there's a lot of things I've encountered that I just didn't expect would be a problem. I signed up for this, right? I signed up for learning Turkish. I want to be able to speak normally with people, so I have to live with the biliyorums and the çay bardağına. Don't get the wrong impression that I don't love Turkish. Turkish is amazing. You should learn it too. But that's really it for today's video. If you want to see how my Turkish is going for the next 20 days, I'm going to be posting a video on Twitter fully in Turkish to track my progress. So follow me on Twitter if you want to see that. You can also follow me on my other social media, which are linked below, where you can also see me suffer in many languages. I also have a website at studywithalex.com where you could get some useful tips and information about language learning that could be useful for you. Thank you for watching today's video. I'll see you for another video very soon, alright? Hoşça kal.